Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Today I wanted to talk about one squad versus making all your teams more stronger whenever you are working on your tech. I get a lot of feedback about this, I get a lot of questions about this, and so I figured out to answer this the best way I can, which essentially is every player is going to be different and it just depends on what you want to focus on, what is your priority. There are so many ways to get power out of the different tech trees, and unless you are a mega whale or just a big spender in general, you're going to take a very long time to max these trees out. So we're going to have to work through what is going to be the best for, say, my main squad. If I want to work on two squads, what does that look like? That sort of thing. I tell this to players all the time. Focusing on one squad is certainly the easiest thing to do, especially if you are not a really big spender, because you have to focus all your resources in one place versus spreading them out. When you spread them out, your teams do not grow as fast. So you really have to think about what is more important to you. Is it important for you to be able to attack other players and be able to defend and use one squad to kind of dominate? Or are you going to try to rely on 2 or 3 different squads? Reality is 3 squads, highly unlikely. 2 squads, it's still going to be a stretch unless you're spending a lot of money. So focusing on one squad really helps you gain a ton of power because you're able to focus on things like mastery tech, going into the hero tree, focusing on one specific hero type to build up. So you're not blowing all your resources here, you're still able to progress in other things in the game. As I continue to focus on my aircraft squad and dump everything into it, it is certainly pulling away from my second team. I know I don't have my full aircraft squad in here. At the moment, if I did, it would be probably around 53.5 million power, if not more. And then my second squad would be closer to about 42 million than where it is now. Big advantage to this is I am able to attack a lot of players and beat a lot of people with my first squad. Downside is I have a big drop off to my second team. Is it still good? Yeah, 42 million is not a bad place to be for a second squad, but it's not going to be able to defend against a 47, 46 million squad because it doesn't have blueprints on its gear, on their gear. And that's a big thing. You can dump tech into your second team, but if you don't have star imprints on your gear, you don't have 2-star, 3-star, even all the way up to 4-star mythic gear on your second team, no matter how strong it looks via the number, it is still going to be weaker to those that have decent gear. It happens to me all the time where my second team, I'll go to fight somebody and I think I'm going to be fine and I hit them because I might be about the same power as them, but my second squad, like I said, is at 42 million. If I hit somebody else that's 42 million, but that's their main squad, they have all their gear on it, I'm probably going to lose because level 40 gear, while it's not bad, all the bonuses from getting these upgraded to 2-star, 4-star, and then definitely with the armor pieces, the energy damage resistance, the physical damage resistance, and then whenever you upgrade it to mythic, you get the critical damage resistance or reduction. And that stuff just doesn't show up in the tech tree. You can make your team strong, but if they don't have the gear, it may not matter as much. And that's what's kind of frustrating when people are arguing with me. I wouldn't say argue with me. They try to put comments in there about, well, you shouldn't just do this, you shouldn't just do that because you want to make all your team strong. Well, unless you're spending a bunch of money and can gear your second and third team up like your first team, good luck making it competitive. Because as you build your first squad up and you have a bunch of mythic pieces and 4-star gear, then you try to compare that to your second team, it's going to be way off. It doesn't matter, again, how much tech you put into it. It's not going to make it a first squad type of team. Down the road, whenever you start finishing up your first squad, you start putting the gear on it, will that tech catch up then? Yeah, then that will start to make a difference as you start to get imprints on those gears. And just to show you real quick, this is my second squad and all 40 level gear versus somebody that has a squad just a little bit higher than me. It's a mixed formation, so they don't have the greatest team buffs. It's only a 3-2 lineup versus mine, which is 4-1, plus I have the 4-1 buff from my my tactic card, so I get the full 20% versus their 10%. So from that standpoint, I have an advantage. Moving on down, I have a level 20 Carly, I have a level 20 weapon on my Kim, and so you'd think that would be pretty decent. And then with the 4-star gear, my skill chips, if you look at my skill chips, I'm running full tank. My tank is almost all 5-star. He's running aircraft, but he's running aircraft with some missile in there. So his full team doesn't get the full benefit of that. And while his aircraft mastery is pretty solid, the gear is definitely what makes the difference here, because he's able to just take so much damage and do so much damage back to me. That Skylar with the Mythic gun and then the Morrison back there, they're just going to be able to do a ton of damage and eat a bunch of damage that I put out, unfortunately. And I believe if I had the gear on this team, if I had put my first squad gear on this team, yeah, absolutely, I definitely would have won this. And that's the thing. Think about it that way. If you had that gear on that team, is it going to be good? Yes. You don't have it on that team, though, so why focus so much onto it? And I'm not saying just to ignore your second and third squads. If you look at my hero tree, you'll see I got a lot of this done. The tank is done at the top. Aircraft's done at the top. Missile is being finished. Tank is not quite maxed here. And neither is aircraft, just because of the cost in here. I just wanted to focus on the mastery trees. And then tech with the missile, because it's my third team. I'm not too worried about that at the moment. I just wanted to get down to the bottom here to try to max out a bunch of this for my all team. So that does affect all your heroes. This is 10% for extra damage output, attack, and then your HP. And then when I max this out, it'll be 10% for my defense too for all my teams. All of that to bring it to this one point where people say, oh, you should focus on defense fortification in Siege to Siege. There's two things with that. One, Siege and defense fortification, they're only PvP focused. Two, yes, they do add a bunch of power when you're attacking and defending for all your squads, which is great, but you can do a lot of that with the mastery tree as well. So why do I think the mastery tree is a better tree in comparison to the Siege and defense fortification? Well, first of all, it applies to all the game. All the attack, the defense, the HP, all that stuff goes across the game. So that's what they have similar to each other. They increase the attack, defense, and HP. Attacking, defending, that's Siege and defense fortification. Aircraft mastery does both. The thing, though, with the mastery tech, like I was saying, you increase the damage output and increase march size. And then the third thing, which I think is probably one of the best things in here, is the damage reduction you get out of this tree. You don't get that in the Siege or the defense fortification. Yes, it's focusing on one squad, but your one squad should be the one that you're focused on. That's what your bread and butter is, and what is going to carry you to victory, either on offense or defense. So working on the mastery tech, but also working on Siege defense fortification as well, is really the best route to go. Because you also want to think about seasons. Whenever you're in a season, you're attacking the Doom Elites, you're trying to grind that out, you're trying to take on dig sites and stuff. Mastery tech is going to be so beneficial for that. Siege defense fortification doesn't even matter. Those don't even come into play until you start fighting in week 3 and week 4 of the season. And when you are defending, say, the Alliance Center, or you're attacking the Alliance Center, what's going to be doing the most damage or doing the better job defending? Your first squad. So if your first squad is really built and strong, you could put a little bit of work into Siege and defense fortification and just make it that much better. But unless you're a whale, you're not sending 3 teams into the buildings to help protect and expecting them to do a whole lot, because they don't have the gear to do so. And last thing I'll say, mastery tech is extremely important compared to Siege and defense fortification, because you need to get 180% to get the tactical weapon tree, which is absolutely massive. It is the biggest, most powerful tree in the game. That is why most players don't even have access to it yet, since you need to almost max out all your mastery trees. You need to get 180%. That is a huge grind. All right, everyone. Thanks again for watching. Thanks for listening to my rant here on this. Let me know in the comments below. Do you guys agree, disagree? If you disagree, I really want to hear your thoughts on what you think is the better approach here, why you think siege and defense fortification is that much better compared to mastery. Like I said, if you're focusing on one squad, it shouldn't matter when you're talking about siege and defense fortification about how it makes your other team so much better when you're probably not going to use them that much for those things anyways. As always, thanks again for watching, everybody, and I hope to catch you guys in the next one.